All right, so today we're diving into the really challenging ideas of the philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti. He had some radical things to say about a concept that shapes pretty much our entire lives. From the classroom to the workplace, all the way up to our governments. Authority. It's something we just take for granted most of the time. But Krishnamurti, he asks us to question it at its very, very core. And yeah, he does not pull any punches. I mean, look at this. He kicks things off with an incredibly strong statement. He doesn't just say authority is misguided or maybe inefficient. No, he says it's evil. That's the core idea we're going to unpack together. It's a huge claim, so let's see how he actually builds his case. So, how in the world does Krishnamurti connect this everyday concept of authority with a word as powerful and loaded as evil? Well, let's start breaking down his argument, beginning with our own relationship to power. Now, what's so interesting about Krishnamurti's whole perspective is that he doesn't just point the finger at leaders or systems. Nope, he starts with us, with the followers. He argues that the entire foundation of authority is built on something that we actively want, something he calls the seduction of certainty. It's a really good question, isn't it? I mean, why do we so easily look to other people, to gurus, experts, leaders, whole institutions, to tell us what to do? Krishnamurti suggests the answer is buried in some of our deepest human desires.
So according to him, this is basically the deal we make. We hand over our own personal autonomy because we're desperate for these things. We want someone to guarantee we'll be safe, a system to make us feel certain, a belief to comfort us, and a clear path that promises we'll succeed. You can see why it's such a powerful psychological pull.
And here's the twist. For Krishnamurti, this very natural human search for comfort and security is actually a trap. It kicks off a chain of events that he believed was totally unavoidable and, in the end, really destructive. You can see his logic laid out here. It's like an unavoidable chain reaction. First, authority creates power. Simple enough. But then, that power starts to centralize, right? It gathers in one place. And here's the kicker. For Krishnamurti, that centralization inevitably leads to corruption. He saw it as this almost mechanical process, not just a case of one bad apple or a specific leader failing. It's what the system itself does. Okay, so that's the problem with the whole system. But Krishnamurti was just as worried, maybe even more so, about what authority does to us, to the individual, what actually happens inside our own minds when we choose to follow someone else.
This is such a critical point. Think about it. You could be following the most enlightened, the kindest, the wisest person on the planet. But the very act of following, of just letting someone else do the thinking for you, that's what prevents you from becoming thoughtful yourself. You're just borrowing their conclusions, not actually building your own capacity to understand.
And this breakdown just makes it so clear. The follower is always looking outside of themselves for rules, for safety. They want to be told what to do. The thinker, though, they look inward. They're not aiming for safety, they're aiming for clarity. They're relying on their own understanding to figure out what's true. It's a completely different way of being. Okay, now this is a bit of a riddle. It's a fascinating paradox. What could he possibly mean by this? If you know something, why can't you just tell someone? It sounds totally backward, but it gets right to the heart of what he considered to be real knowledge. Right, here's the thing. For Krishnamurti, true understanding isn't just information you can download like a file. It's a direct, personal, internal aha moment. An expert can give you facts and data, but they can't give you their insight. You have to get there yourself. And that's why he says any authority who claims they can give you the truth doesn't really know it. And anyone who truly does know understands it's something you can't just hand over. All right, so if authority is a trap and being a follower is a dead end, what's the solution? What are we supposed to do? How do we break free from this whole cycle? Well, Krishnamurti's answer is surprisingly simple, but also incredibly profound. And there it is. That's it. The end of authority isn't about finding a better leader or some new perfect system to follow. It's the act of questioning itself. The second you genuinely and deeply question an authority, its hold on you just dissolves. This is the big takeaway, right here. It's not about swapping one set of beliefs for another. The real freedom comes from developing a mind that is just constantly aware, alert, and asking why. The process is the solution. It's about learning to live in the question instead of just rushing to find a comfortable answer from somebody else. And so that brings us to a final question, one for you to just sort of carry with you. It could be anything, a political belief, a scientific fact, a social rule, maybe even a person you look up to. What's one authority in your life that you've just accepted without really examining it? Because according to Krishnamurti, asking that very question, that's the first and most powerful step toward real freedom.